God says, and we don't know why, okay. I think a lot of us get hung up on that question of why does God let bad things happen to good people? And Job never really answers this. The book, it addresses this topic, but it never gives us an answer to that question. But later on in the book, after Job's friends come through and they've raised all these very logical accusations. Well, you must have done something wrong, so that's why the bad things are happening to you. You must have sin in your life that you haven't repented from, so that's why bad things are happening to you. And Job has this back and forth with them, and his another friend shows up and says, well, God's just using the bad things to make sure that you don't do bad things. So finally Job gets fed up with this, and he cries out to God and says, would you just answer me? Why is this happening? And God's response to Job is this kind of smart aleck. All right, so you have so much understanding. Where were you when I made the earth? Where were you when I created everything? When I breathed life into mankind? Where were you? And it just shows us this tiny sliver of understanding that we have in comparison to the everything that God is. And so what doesn't always look like good to us, oftentimes we don't have to understand it. But the thing that God said to Job was what he did was good. He questioned God. He brought all of his anger, his frustration, and he questioned him and he asked him. He brought everything to God and he laid it all at his feet and said, why? Because that's okay. Because coming up with a theology around what we see that contradicts who we know God to be, that's not God. That's just our answer because why didn't God heal this? Or why didn't God show up there? And we can't come up with an answer for that, so we come up with something instead that says, well, God must be like this. That's not who our daddy is. If we're set free, if we're his children, would a father, if his son asked him for bread, would he give him a stone? So how much more would our Heavenly Father not do that? But we seem to forget that. We seem to say, well, I don't understand God, so he's got to be like this. And we put him in this little box. But his ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And we're called to be elevated to those. And it's a glory to glory process, and we're all getting there. And that's okay. But along the way, it might not make sense, and that's perfectly fine. Your ways are higher than mine. Wash away every stain, Lord. Greater love than the blood, Lord. Jesus, be glorified. Your ways are higher than mine. Wash away every stain, Lord. Greater love than the blood, Lord. Jesus, be glorified. Your ways are higher than mine. Wash away every stain, Lord. Greater love than the blood, Lord. Jesus, be glorified. Your ways are higher than mine. Wash away every stain, Lord. A greater love than the blood, Lord. Waiting here to hear your voice, to know your heart. We made a choice. Forever you, forever you. I won't move, won't make a sound. Don't wanna miss a single vow. When you speak, please speak. So walk out